The Ancient Playbook. I know, sounds kind of dusty, right? Like something you'd find buried in the back of a library. But just stick with me on this one. You're probably sitting there thinking, oh, great, another history lesson. What on earth does some guy in a toga from 2,000 years ago have to do with my life right now? And hey, it's a fair question. You've got classes, a social life to juggle, a future to figure out. So why would you waste time looking backward?
Well, what if I told you that the core strategies for crushing all that, for actually winning, were written down centuries ago? We're going to put that idea to the test. We're going to mash up a Roman emperor, a legendary Chinese general, and, weirdly enough, some modern math.
Okay, first up, Marcus Aurelius. This guy wasn't just some emperor, he was a legit Stoic philosopher who happened to be running the entire Roman Empire. And just look at this quote. Seriously, this could have been tweeted out yesterday. He's saying it's not the thing that's stressing you out, it's your story about the thing that's stressing you out. That is a seriously powerful idea.
Now let's jump way back to our second expert, Sun Tzu, The Art of War. You've heard of it for sure. But check out the core logic. This isn't just about armies and swords. It's a straight-up formula for strategy. Know yourself, know the other person, and that could be anyone, an opponent in a video game, a professor you're trying to impress, a future boss, and the outcome is basically decided before the fight even begins. So here's the big takeaway. Forget history. I want you to think of these ideas as a powerful, time-tested operating system for your own mind. You know, an OS that's been debugged and perfected over 2,000 years. So, you ready to install it? First things first, every great game starts with the character sheet. You gotta know your own player stats, your strengths, your weaknesses, your default reactions. It's all about mastering your internal world before you even try to take on the external one.
And look, this isn't some one-off idea from one dude. Right here, you've got a 17th century Spanish thinker saying the exact same thing as our Roman emperor from 1,500 years earlier. Know yourself. It's rule number one of the game, and it has never, ever changed.
Marcus Aurelius actually had a name for this part of you. He called it the hegemonicon. It's a cool word, kind of sounds like a sci-fi villain. But really, it just means the CEO of your mind. It's your inner command center. It's the part that takes in all the data, makes judgments, and decides what to do next. And it's the part you've got to get under your control.
So how do you do that? Well, Aurelius basically gave us an internal toolkit. The core idea is simple. See things for what they are, not what your anxiety or your ego tells you they are. Failing an exam isn't the end of the world. It's just an event. It's your interpretation, the story you tell yourself that it's a catastrophe. That's the real problem. And the best part, you can change that story whenever you want.
Okay, so you've started to sort out your inner world. That's huge, but that's only half the battle. Now you need to understand the external world, the game board itself. What are the rules here? What kind of situation are you actually in? And this is where we bring in the modern math. Game theory. It's really just a fancy modern language for what Sun Tzu was talking about all along. It's the science of strategy. And it applies to any situation, from a nuclear standoff to deciding if you should do all the work in a group project, where what you get depends on what someone else does. The most famous example of this is the prisoner's dilemma. Okay, picture this. The cops arrest you and your partner in crime. They don't have enough evidence for the big charge, though. So they split you up, put you in separate rooms, and they offer each of you a deal. You can't talk to your partner. What do you do? And this little chart right here shows you the trap. If you both stay quiet, you both get a light sentence, just 1 year. That's the best outcome for the team. But if you betray your partner while they stay quiet, you walk free. That's the big temptation, right? But what if you both betray each other? Well, then you both get 2 years, which is worse than if you just kept your mouth shut in the first place. So here's the question that's fascinated people for decades. What's the rational move? From a purely selfish point of view, betraying your partner is always a better individual choice, no matter what they do. But if you both follow that selfish logic, you both end up worse off. That's the dilemma. That's the trap. And believe it or not, this is not a new problem. Sun Tzu didn't have fancy tables and graphs, but he was obsessed with understanding the ground, or the terrain. He just meant the strategic landscape, the context of the whole situation. He was basically telling his generals to do the same thing game theory tells us to do today. Map out the incentives before you make a single move. Okay, so you know yourself, you know the game board. What's the last piece of the puzzle? You have to know the other players. This is where you get the real edge. Sun Tzu is pretty direct about this. He says the whole entire point of gathering intelligence is to get inside the other person's head, to know what they know, to figure out what they want, and to predict what they're probably going to do next. And he was not messing around. He gives you a literal 5-step process for gathering intel. Now, you're probably not going to be using doomed spies for your next group project. I hope not, anyway. But the principle underneath is absolutely timeless. The person with the better information almost always wins. It's about understanding what makes other people tick. All right, let's put it all together now. How do these 3 different ideas, Stoic self-control, modern strategic analysis, and ancient intelligence, combine into one killer playbook for, well, for anything?
Here it is. It really boils down to 3 simple pillars. 1, know yourself. Master your own mind. Don't let your own perceptions trip you up. That's all Aurelius. 2, know the game. Understand the system you're in, the rules, the incentives. That's Sun Tzu meets game theory. And 3, know the competition. Understand the other people involved. That is pure Sun Tzu.
Let's just put that in modern terms. This isn't about togas and chariots anymore. This is about radical self-awareness, a sharp, unsentimental analysis of other people, and a crystal clear understanding of the game you're actually playing, whether you realize it or not.
So, is this information old? No way. It's foundational. It's like the source code for effective, rational action. It's been sitting there the whole time, hidden in plain sight, in all those books that people might tell you are irrelevant. But it's just as powerful today as it was in ancient Rome or warring states China. And that really brings us to the final thought here. This playbook isn't some new secret. It's been publicly available for over 2 millennia. The real question is, now that you have it, what game, in your career, your classes, your life, are you going to use it to win?